Hello, my name is Chris Vella, and thank you for joining me in this lesson. This lesson will cover a project at the end of a satire unit. This is usually used in an English classroom. However, it incorporates technology and standards accepted by the American Association of School Librarians. The audience or grade level that is appropriate for this lesson is 11th or 12th grade. I believe you could teach it in a 10th grade classroom. However, if you go to a younger age group, usually the idea of satire or even sarcasm may be too much for the students to handle. However, I do believe the technology and presentation skills involved would be appropriate for a younger 9th or 10th grade classroom. The lesson objectives are that students at the end of the lesson should be able to take a stance on a social issue. They should be able to demonstrate that they understand social satire and the elements of social satire. Students should be able to present ideas using different forms of media. Students should understand 21st century technology skills, such as using presentation technology like Prezi, podcasts, and even using video media. Students should also be able to work collaboratively to develop and present ideas on issues that really affect their community. Students are expected to use different types of technology and media for this project. For example, they will use podcasts, video media, and presentation websites such as Prezi in order to create their own forms of satire. The rationale behind using this technology in the classroom is that it provides students with a sense of a real audience and purpose. By asking students to use multiple types of media, students can learn how media can be used to develop and convey a message. Using different media types to develop a satirical message will reinforce that students comprehend what the common themes of satire are. Earlier I mentioned that they will be having a sense of a real audience or purpose. They will, by the end of this project, update their presentation and their forms of media to a classroom website, which is accessible by both the students and the parents and family of the students. This website should not be accessible to the public, usually because many school districts have rules about putting the faces or video recordings or even audio recordings of students on a website without getting the proper permission. But usually if you put it on a website that only the students or the parents have access to, you should be fine. I mentioned earlier that this summative project was at the end of a unit on satire. Usually at this point, the students have studied and taken notes on different elements of satire, such as irony, sarcasm, parodies, or cultural messages. Also, they will have looked at and studied how satire is actually portrayed using different forms of media. For example, if you go onto websites such as The Onion, which is a satirical newspaper, you can find both satirical articles and video clips. Also, another great example would be The Daily Show or the Stephen Colbert Report, where they kind of use news media or video clips and even interviews to create satirical videos. Also, they will be looking at several examples of audio or even podcasts used to create satirical elements. For example, there are some famous songs, like the artist Weird Al Yankovic creates many songs that are satirical and involve parody, or even Lord's song Royals, which criticizes celebrities and their lifestyle. They also look at examples of public servants' announcements that are actually parodies or satirical in nature, so they can understand how audio can also be used to create satire and to kind of convey a social message. In order for students to be able to successfully complete this project, they're going to have to be taught several different forms of technology, how to use that technology, and how to use media to sort of get their message across. One type of technology they'll be using is a presentation website called Prezi. If any of you are unfamiliar with Prezi, it's not too different from PowerPoint, but instead of going left to right with the slides, it's a little more interactive. For example, it looks almost like an apps would on an iPad or an iPhone, where you would click on a slide and it'll kind of almost like a button, and it'll kind of zoom in on that slide and give information. It basically looks a little bit cleaner than PowerPoint, and students really enjoy it. Now, students are expected to use their Prezi to kind of present their perspectives on a selected social issue. They're also going to have to be taught how to actually embed their audio or their podcast and their videos into the slides or buttons of the Prezi. The Prezi will also have to explain the elements of satire that they use to convey the message. The groups will of course be expected to present the Prezi, their audio, their video media, and they're also expected to upload this to the class website for the parents and students to view. Of course, if they wanted to post it on something like YouTube or post it on a more public website, that's something that they should probably do on their own. You may not want to be involved with that if your district has rules against that. Also, students will be taught to use either their smartphones to record and edit audio and video for the podcasts. Usually in the past I've taught this, and I used to have to supply the students with flip cameras that my librarian had, but last year I just asked them if they could use their smartphones, and almost every student had a smartphone and a cord that could kind of hook up to the computer and to the smartboard, so they could present their videos or present their audio files without us having to actually supply them with any technology. But of course, have a backup plan just in case that a group doesn't have a smartphone technology with them. There are certain expectations as to student products or performance or presentations that students should be able to do or present by the end of the class. For example, students are expected to complete the following. They are expected to, at the beginning of the project, create a group goal setting statement, which basically is their group explaining, what social issue they will address, the elements of satire they will use. Of course, they're going to have to explain this for two different types of media, both the video and the audio, so they may use different elements of satire. They'll have to explain how the technology will be incorporated into their message, and exactly what each group member's role or contribution is. You may want to even provide specific roles for the groups to select for each member. Another product that they should be able to present at the end of the project is a group Prezi that presents their issue, the elements of satire, and it should also have their audio and visual media embedded into the Prezi. They should of course be able to present both a short video media and a short podcast portraying a different satirical stance on the same social issue. I think it is important that they do the same issue for both different types of media, so they understand how the medium of either video or audio could change the style of humor or satire they choose to use. They may take different sides of that same social issue, but you could probably leave that up to them. Students, of course, will also be expected to present their Prezi to the class and effectively explain their issue and the elements of satire used. This project does involve and cover many of the standards for the 21st century learner that are accepted by the American Association of School Librarians. I won't read all of them to you. They're available right there on the slide. Of course, this project, since it involves English standards as well, but I'm not going to go over those since this is a class geared towards librarians. But of course, there are also English elements and standards that will be covered with this project. This project will be assessed using a rubric that is available both to the students and the teachers. It's established at the beginning of the project, so students know exactly what the grading expectations are and could almost, by the end of this project, grade themselves and have a sense of what they should be doing as far as their performance level on this project. The students, of course, will be expected to, in this rubric, it will basically be assessing their ability to collaborate effectively, to understand and present new ideas. So of course, working together will be a part of the rubric. Presenting different forms of media to address social issues using satire. The rubric will also assess their ability to perform a strong presentation that demonstrates their ability to engage in public conversations and debate around issues of common concern. So it's not just completing the project and the Prezi, but of course, presenting those ideas so they can kind of engage with this other students and engage with the public with their concerns. Here is a copy of the rubric that will be provided to students at the beginning of the project, and it is the same rubric that the teacher will use to grade the group project at the end. It's broken down to different elements. The satirical video media, if they want to score an excellent in this category, they'll have to make sure that the video makes it clear what the social issue is. It makes it clear what their message is, what their persuasive element is about this social issue. Of course, the video format should show, creativity. It should be engaging, and it really shouldn't have too many technical difficulties. It should show foresight that they expect certain, technical difficulties in presenting it, and that none occur during the presentation. And this is basically the same grading that would go into the audio element of their project as well. It's also important that they're able to explain effectively what the satirical elements are that they use, and also why they use those elements kind of in relation to both the issue and the type of media. Why did they choose a certain form of satire or humor for the video, but not for the audio? And then last, the presentation itself. The Prezi should be visually engaging. It should be clear to read. The ideas should show organization. And of course, the speakers should be able to explain their ideas and their message, and also kind of field any questions that the audience might have for them, whether that audience is, the teacher, fellow students, other educators, or I've also done in the past where you kind of invite some of the family members, just so the students do have a sense of real audience for this project.